Hey, what's up? And welcome to Ike's Jam Room. Today we're going to be looking at a little list that I have made up. You can kind of call this a recipe. It's basically a list of ingredients for achieving your guitar tone, your sound, whatever that is exactly from one person to another. That's going to be a different thing. This video might be more geared towards beginners, but if you, like most of us guitarists, have ever picked up a guitar and tried to learn a song or a riff and you realize, man, this just does not sound like the original, like this does not sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan or David Gilmour or whoever, Tony Iommi, whoever you're trying to emulate, whoever you're trying to play a riff, you know, it just doesn't sound at all like that original that you have in your head that you're trying to copy. And it might not even be that you're learning a specific riff of someone else. Maybe you have a very specific tone in your head that you're trying to achieve and you're trying to get to that sound for writing your own music or whatever purpose. But I used to give more lessons when I was younger, and I've seen this a lot where a kid or someone would say, man, it just doesn't sound like what I'm trying to make it sound like. Why does this not sound like the AC/DC song? Why does this not sound like Angus or whoever? And there is, as far as I am concerned, in my opinion, there are 5 basic ingredients that I'm going to show you in this video that, depending on how you use these together, they all kind of intertwine together. But this is a recipe for your sound, to get that sound out of your head and through the guitar and through the amp, out the speakers into your ears or through the listener's ears. And you can pretty much guarantee that if there's something wrong with what you're trying to do, it's one of these things, if not multiple of these things that I'm going to be talking about in this little video. But let's get right in there and start talking about it. The first one is practice. And some of these you might say, man, duh, like, yeah, you gotta practice, you gotta play the thing if you're ever going to get anywhere. We know you gotta practice. But the question here is, are you practicing the right thing? If that Slayer song you're learning, that Kerry King solo with the crazy horsey sounds, whatever, whatever riff that Hanneman or whoever you're trying to emulate, if they're playing the octave that's way up on the 15th fret and they're playing something crazy up there, how do you know that where you're playing it at is where they're playing it at on the fretboard? How do you know that the technique that you're using, that what you're practicing, if you went and looked up a tab, which, by the way, a lot of tabs on the internet are very wrong. You can tell that very evidently sometimes when you get to trying to pluck around on one. But there's a big chance maybe you're not practicing it right. And there's that old saying, practice makes perfect. And, you know, that's not really true, I don't think. If you're practicing the wrong thing, basically practice just makes you consistent with whatever it is you're practicing, you know. So if you're practicing the wrong thing, you're going to be playing the wrong thing. So the key is here to practice the right techniques, practice the right place on the fingerboard, practice the way that the actual artist played it. If you're trying to sound like that artist, that, you know, you might not want to sound identical to them, but if you're asking yourself, why do I not sound like this dude or this chick, whoever, there's a big chance you're not even playing it the way that the original artist played it. Let's go right into the second one, which goes right into the first. Well, kind of intertwines right with it, and that is music theory. Now, a lot of people, I've met multiple people, they're like, man, that's for nerds or this or that, or you get too much theory involved in it, then you're losing all your feel and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, you are using music theory if you even know it or not. If you're strumming a chord, you might not be able to say, hey man, that's a C7 or that's a B flat or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, it is something. It's a chord. You're playing in a 3/4 time, a 4/4 time. You're playing 16th notes or 8th notes or quarter notes. You're using music theory, even if you don't want to admit it. If you don't like that idea, you're using theory. So the correct theory along with you practicing this stuff in the right manner is going to, that's the basic foundation of this recipe is what's going on with your hands, your brain, hand-eye coordination, what you're actually doing on the fretboard. But let's look at the third one here. So I got a little list here I made on my phone. But and this too is right there with that. And this is the touch and feel. The way a guitarist actually plays. When I think of someone like Mark Knopfler from the Dire Straits, sometimes he's playing some stuff that doesn't sound real fast or flashy, but it's extremely difficult to make it sound exactly like he did it. And most artists are like that. It's much easier for me to sit down and write something and play it that come out of my head that I made up than trying to specifically copy Dime or Zakk Wylde or somebody to make it actually sound right down to the T. And there's many countless other guitarists on YouTube that can do this. They're flooded on it. They can really nail that stuff and play the absolute heck out of a cover song and just sound so good. But that's something that's never really interested me too much. I've never spent but so much time trying to just exactly pinpoint someone's feel, because I just think it's basically, it's as unique as your fingerprint. Everybody's different. I mean, this thing, everybody's artistic and their imaginations work in different ways, but the feel could very, very well be something that, you're trying to play that ZZ Top sound, and man, just the way he bent that string maybe is just not quite the way you're bending it. So the touch and the feel of it, it's unique to everybody. So you have to, you can't fully discount yourself if there's something that someone has, like a very special talent that they do better than, say, other. I mean, Yngwie, for instance, his arpeggios, his stuff, I mean, he has a very specific way he does those big, wild vibratos. Yes, other people could do them too, but there's things you have to look at if you're really trying to pick apart a sound you're going for, and that is that dude's exact feel, the way he plays the guitar. Let's go on to the next one though. And like I said, hopefully all these will kind of link together for you. But if you're really having trouble with your guitar sound, you should be able to pick some of these out and say, well, maybe I need to work on that. But the next one is the gear that they're using, whether it be the amps, the pedals, the style of guitar, the style of pickups in the guitar. And not even that, a lot of people don't even take into account the extensive stuff that goes on in actually recording an album, a professionally made album that has been heavily produced and mixed and mastered, and by professionals in their countless hours making an album polished and pristine for you to hear what you're actually hearing. So, okay, my guitar just doesn't sound exactly like that Metallica Black album that, however $1 million, whatever they cost, whatever they actually paid to make that album, Rick Rubin, this and that, and it's all the stuff that goes into actually making an album. So it's just, sometimes it's very highly unlikely that you're going to pick up a guitar and very easily replicate some of this stuff. So you need to keep in mind that the gear, if you're trying to play some Pantera on your grandpa's old Fender twin reverb or something, you might have a little trouble getting that feel and sound that Dime has when he's chunking away on a Randall or one of the cranks or something. It's going to be different. Now, is that to say you have to run out and buy gear for every little thing you do? You do not have to have the exact gear that these dudes have, but it sure does help to at least be in the ballpark of what you're trying to achieve. You can throw a distortion pedal on that old Fender. You can do stuff that can get you in the ballpark and get you close, but still, this is just another key to this puzzle. It's just another piece that's going to put that sound together for you. And if enough of these are wrong, I mean, you can see why that maybe you're not going to achieve exactly what you're looking to do here. You know, a guitar with humbuckers is going to sound completely different. Some nice, you know, hot PA off that bridge, that chunky metal sound if you're trying to go for that raunchy metal sound. And if, again, a Strat, I mean, there's not really any guitars that have that Strat sound. Yes, a Tele will get you close. Yes, there's 100 million other off brands that do the Strat thing. But if you're trying to sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan, you might need a high headroom amp with some very clean fat cleans, and you know, he's played that dang thing so hard that his fingers bled and stuff. I mean, you hear the crazy stories of him playing so hard with those big old strings and stuff. I mean, there's something to be said about every individual's exact style. But if you're looking to sound like Stevie, you might need to get you a Strat. You might need to get some fat Fender, because you're not going to be able to buy a $300,000 Dumble probably. But let's look into this next one here. Like I said, this is the 5th one. And this one kind of ties it all in together. And this is having an ear to discern the differences in all of these ingredients of this big stew we just put together. You know, you're going to put a little dash of that and oh, too much of that, you know. It's having the ear to be able to tell, oh, that distortion is too grainy, it's too digitalized, or there's not enough mids in that clean tone. It's too scooped. So the more you play, the more you learn some of these things. The more you learn about, oh, my strings I didn't let that thing sustain out enough. You know, maybe I don't have my delay pedal set right to actually do the thing that the Edge did in the U2 song. You know, maybe you didn't get the timing right on it. Maybe it could be anything from the reverb to any kind of effects that these people are using in the actual studio. You have to be able to say, all right, it needs a little bit more of this. Just like a good cook, when they might taste that soup and say, oh, it needs a little more salt. It needs whatever, more garlic. So this thing is basically like a recipe that you're whipping up. I mean, you have to put this stuff together. And at the end of the day, it's what makes you happy, what makes you want to keep playing the guitar, what makes you sound the way that you want to sound. Because at first, it's for you. You have to be happy with it. Even if you're planning on playing in front of people, in front of crowds, and making a name for yourself, making albums, you know, going out playing shows, you still have to play something that is pleasing to yourself. So it all starts with what's cool to you. What are you trying to sound like? I always thought it's cool to just kind of try to be yourself. You know, take a little bit from this guy, from this guy, from these different artists, and kind of compile your own recipe up. But the last one here, number 6, which is basically like what I'm already talking about here. It's finding the correct balance. You know, that's not really one of the ingredients. That's just, hey, we're going to sum them all up together. But you need to find the right balance that works for you, that makes you fit in your band. What do they need an Eddie Van Halen running around the stage, you know, ripping major ear blistering, face melting solos, or do they need a bluesy dude that's a little more reserved, that's kind of in the pocket more? You know, are you doing studio session work? Do you need to, like I said, fit in the pocket with what you're doing? It's all context as far as what you're actually trying to achieve here. But I can pretty much bet my bottom dollar that if you're trying to learn a song or something, something is not jiving out, if it just doesn't feel right, that's very clearly one of these things that I was just talking about in this list is going to help you get there closer. If you tweak this, tweak that, practice this, learn. If you could watch a video of the actual artist playing it, if you could see what he's doing, you know, on the fretboard. Oh, I was playing it down here around the cowboy chords. He was playing some tri-head looking thing way up here. You know, he wasn't playing that G down there regular like I learned it. He's playing something that is some triad way up there at the 12th fret that's a G, you know what I'm saying? And all of that, you know, you should be able to discern the difference between the little string, between your B string, the G, all of them, you know, the thickness of the strings. You should be able to tell where someone's kind of at on the strings, whether at on the fretboard. But like I said earlier, tabs are not always the answer. Sometimes you need to look up a video and train your ear and watch the dude playing the thing. If you let me know in the comments if any of this stuff, if you have any other things you feel that I kind of missed that should have been on this list, or if you think that this is a complete joke of a video that you think, well, duh, we knew all this. That's why I kind of told you at the beginning, this is kind of geared for beginners. Real quick, funny story. A dude years ago when we were auditioning a new guitarist in our band to have another guitarist with us, and my bass player, my buddy, we actually was just joking about this the other day. A guy coming there and he was actually playing a solo and he's like, man, you like that? Do you think that's cool? I'm like, he's like, you don't recognize what that is, do you? And basically he was playing Paranoid. He was playing the Paranoid solo, the Black Sabbath, you know, the Iommi solo. And he was playing it in such a way that just, I mean, I couldn't even tell that that's what he was trying to do. So, you know, yeah, man, yeah, dude, I see it now. And after he said it, yeah, I kind of, yeah, okay, I see what you're doing. But clearly was missing the mark. You know, the bends are wrong, whatever it was. It's something just not jiving out, just not working, you know. But let me know if this video helps you, if you think that this is a good little checklist to like, hey, let me go revisit stuff. But this video, like I said, is very geared towards, you know, someone maybe a little bit earlier on in their guitar journey. You know, if you're getting frustrated with why can't I sound the way I'm trying to sound, hopefully this little list will get you thinking. Maybe there's a lot more that goes into this stuff than I thought. It's not as simple as clicking a distortion pedal on, you know, and getting a distortion sound, you know. Yeah, Nirvana sound, DS1 Boss, and, you know, play the crap out of your strings, make it sloppy as you can, go full punk style. Even so, he had a specific way he did it, and if you're trying to do it exactly like he did, you still kind of got to follow that recipe if you want to sound like that. But let me know if you like this video, and hit that like and subscribe if you like this stuff. Not all my videos are like this. Sometimes I actually play some very crappy guitar stuff. I do reviews and all kinds of other stuff. We just have fun here and do all kinds of different stuff. But let me know what you think, and we'll see you next time.